I found these two solid metal chairs in the alley. The seats are even metal. The design is really cool. I'm not sure who made them, where they were made, or when they were made. The only time I pick chairs out of the alley is when they're unique, interesting, or valuable. These two chairs might have hit all 3 points. The paint on these chairs is faded, and it's peeling in spots. Beneath the paint, I'm also seeing some rust spots. I grab my orbital sander and test a couple different grits of paper to see if it's going to remove the paint easily. Nope. I thought about using this orange paint stripper, but the instructions say that it may take up to 24 hours to remove the paint. I'm not going to wait that long, so I grab my box cutter and begin scraping the paint off. This actually works pretty well. It's a bit tedious and time consuming, so I'll just put on a podcast and get to work. Someone out there might be lazy and want to give these a quick sanding and a fresh coat of paint. If my goal was to quick flip these and rip someone off, then I would certainly do that, but that's not me. I would rather spend 5 hours scraping and sanding all the paint off rather than do a bad job. The reason I'm spending so much time meticulously scraping these is because preparation is the #1 key to getting a good finish. Painting these will only take a few minutes, but preparing them to paint will take a few hours. It's been about 90 minutes and I finally finished scraping the whole chair using just a box cutter knife with a single blade. Iron sharpens iron, so this was actually self-sharpening as I was scraping the paint. I managed to get through using a single blade, and it's amazing how much rust was actually under the paint. This thing was doomed for failure from the beginning. Now I'm going to sand all the metal with 120 grit paper, then I'll treat it with some OSPO. Now OSPO is a rust neutralizer. It also has a rust inhibitor. Then I'm going to sand it using a higher grit sandpaper, and then this thing will be 100% ready for a fresh coat of black glossy paint. The sandpaper will help remove some of the rust as well as smooth out the surface. I'm going to try to sand in every nook and cranny as well as the bottom of the 4 legs. This step is quick and should only take about 5 minutes. For applying the OSPO, I'm going to use some fine steel wool. This serves 2 purposes. 1, to apply the liquid, and 2, to help smooth out the surface. When you put the OSPO on, you don't wipe it off. It stays there until it dries or evaporates after a few hours. I usually let it sit overnight, unless I'm in a big hurry. Now it's time to paint the seat. I didn't remove all the paint on the seat because there were no scratches and scrapes and chips. It's really a good base coat for the new paint to stick to, so I'm just going to clean it up using some paint thinner. Now you might be wondering, should you prime first and then paint, or should you use one of these paint and primers in one? Well, my personal opinion after doing some experiments were rather surprising. I always thought that priming it first was the way to go, but the tests that I performed, paint and primer in one were actually stronger and more durable than priming first and then painting. When you're spray painting like this, there is a bit of a skill to it. You want to apply just the right amount of paint. Too little and the finish will be dull and uneven. Too much and you risk the paint dripping. When you get the right amount where the surface is even and shiny, it's time to stop. I can't stress this part enough. Read the instructions on the back of your spray can. This one in particular says that I only have to wait 1 minute between coats. Now if you do that, you don't need to sand in between coats. If you wait too long, like over 24 hours, then you're going to have to scuff up the surface before applying paint. So again, this can says 1 minute between coats, or a second coat before 6 hours or after 24 hours. So it's pretty specific. Read the instructions on the back of whatever spray can you're using. It's been 24 hours and I gave this 2 coats of paint. It looks really good, but it's not perfect. The reason it's not perfect is because I used a cloth to clean the surface before I painted it. It left a little bit of lint on the surface. I really didn't notice it until I painted the backside, which came out quite a bit better because I used a paper towel. So now I'm going to sand the front using some 600 grit sandpaper. I'll clean it up with some denatured alcohol and give it one final coat of paint. If you hadn't noticed, I've been using Krylon spray paint. When it comes to spray paint, there are two major players, rust-oleum and Krylon. I hate rust-oleum. Their cans often clog. I've had newer cans clog. I've had older cans clog. And if they don't clog, they spit. So I just avoid them altogether unless someone gives them to me for free. Then I'll risk it. In the meantime, I have yet to see a Krylon can clog up on me. After leaving the Ospo on the chair overnight, it looks great. Not a speck of rust on it. I do feel a couple of paint flakes on it, so I'm going to sand it using some 600 grit paper. Now I'll give it a final cleaning with some paint thinner. You can also use denatured alcohol. They do the same job, but denatured alcohol evaporates quicker, but it's more expensive. When I'm spraying vertical surfaces like this, I need to be extra careful. Not too heavy-handed, or I risk overspraying, and then you're going to get drips. If you do get a drip, you might as well just let it dry and then sand it off, paint it again. You're not going to fix it by wiping it off. Now I'll let it dry overnight, and the next day I can attach the seat. I replaced the old nuts with these new ones that I already had. I'm also going to add some lock washers so they don't loosen. I tighten them all down evenly. While the chair is finished, I won't sit on it for a few days. While it is dry to the touch, it can scratch easier during the curing period. Not only does this look amazing, it is amazing because I know what's under the paint. I spent hours preparing it. Now I know that this thing is going to last a good long time, whether I put it inside or outside. It's going to stand up against the elements. Every time I do one of these projects, I learn something new. And I hope you learn something new about how to repaint rusty metal. I won't put a top coat or a clear seal coat on this, but what I will do in a few days after this fully cures is give it a coat of wax. Now this here is my own product. It's a combination of beeswax, mineral oil, and carnauba wax. Now this stuff is great. If you haven't used it, I'll have a link in the video description so you can get some for yourself. I'm Tom, this is Alley Picked, and thanks for watching.
The ashtray, the power game, and the remote control, that's all I need. That's the only thing I need is this.